I'm pretty happy with the results. Hey guys, I'm DeVore. You may know me as mentor for the Mastery Program, as well as the winner of the Season 2 of Outstanding Artist. I'm gonna take you along with me through my process, creating a painting from start to finish. I'm going to show you some techniques that I use with spray paint, creating a gradient, just a mixed media approach. So we're gonna be trying lots of different materials, having a lot of fun creating. It's gonna be really fun. To start the painting off, I'm going to start with collage, get that dried, and then project my subjects. It's really important when you're collaging to make sure that there's enough gloss gel down. Otherwise, you'll get bubbles underneath the paper, and that's no fun to deal with after it's dried. I think collage, a really cool layer to paintings. It could be something graphic, even like using tissue paper is cool because it's still transparent and it adds color, but you can see many layers underneath. So I really love to experiment with collage, just add something special to the painting with that. Welcome. I really like to project when I'm doing a production week or when I need to get accuracy quickly so that I can see all the lines and edges. A little tip for projecting is to use a white sheet of paper. If you hold the piece of paper in front, you can see it more clearly and you can just follow along and get an accurate line. Another tip I'd like to share is to use straight lines to create the contour of your subject. Actually, using straight lines will create a more accurate form, and it really makes a huge difference as opposed to just following a curved line. Set up pretty well for the next step, where we're gonna add washes and add some color to this. Oh, I am so in love with inks. I love the freedom of inks, that you just can't ever really expect what's gonna happen. Like, you have an idea when you drag the ink across the surface, but I love how organic inks are, especially when you put some water down first and they just flow and create shapes. I don't know, if you haven't tried inks, I really encourage you to try it out and see how it makes you feel. Sometimes it's really, really difficult to not keep touching a painting, especially when you feel like you could have done something better. We can't really know like what exactly that is, but that's the magic of art. I think if we spent our whole lives trying to get everything so perfect, we would totally miss that. We've got washes on, we added some color, so now we can see the form. Now I'm going to use some rollers. It's a new thing for me. I think it gave something unique to it that a brush maybe couldn't have. Rollers are still something that I'm a little uncomfortable with, but that's why it's fun. Super squeaky, but they give a good effect. The woman that I chose is an Asian woman. I just find so much inspiration from Asian culture because my mom grew up overseas as a missionary kid, and she spent a lot of time in Indonesia and other Asian countries. She brought a lot of that culture into our home while I was growing up, so I have a lot of respect for the culture, just find it so beautiful. So I'm gonna build it up with tape and allow just this rectangle to show. And we're gonna create a gradient using lots of these spray paints. I'm a little nervous about the time frame. I can do it, but it's gonna be a push for me because I work pretty fast in the beginning of paintings, but towards the end of the process where it comes to refining and really like bringing everything together, you know, making those hard decisions of what stays, what goes, to make sure that the composition is good. That's the part that gets a little tricky, and sometimes I like to spend a little bit more time figuring that part out. It's gonna be a challenge. Okay, and now I'm going to just add some more spray paint throughout the piece on her robe and the background and get another layer of spray paint. There was a lot of unknown as to how it was gonna turn out. So that little bit of risk was pretty exciting. I mean, I have done something similar, but I'll probably keep doing that, keep exploring it, and just trying to make it better and better. This little section though, isn't it so cool?
That's really
like
fun.
I don't even know how that happened. It was just like, okay, so we've just finished up all the spray paint and now I'm gonna go in with mark making. I have some of my favorite materials here. Caran d'Ache, markers, crank, identity stamp roller. So it has a bunch of like jumbled up letters and symbols, and I like to use it in shadows or just darker areas, or to just add like expressive mark making wherever it feels right. So I'll be using that today. Let's get started. So I like to use mark making for expressiveness, also to kind of add a second layer after washes to build up form in different areas. I like the idea of using lots of colors for this, sometimes using complementary colors next to each other to be an optical neutral from far away. So we'll probably do that like in the face, and we'll add some highlights with the mark making. After that, then we'll move on to oils. It's a very cool thing to see a painting come together, come full circle. I get lost in the process a lot, so when you're in your right brain and when you're creating, stuff happens. Sometimes weird stuff, sometimes cool stuff, but I feel that if you are working in your right brain, that the right thing will happen at the right time, even if it doesn't really make sense in the moment. So I love that. I love things happening organically, and come a really long way since I first started painting, since the mastery program, because I didn't like to leave anything up to chance before. I was so stuck in a perfectionism mindset where I didn't want to mess up or draw outside the lines or, you know, take any risks. I've found so much freedom creating and just becoming more confident in an artist, really pushing myself in so many ways in my life, but especially with my paintings, to just be who I am, to just let what I do just happen, you know, and not think about it too much, not worry about if it's what somebody else wants to see, just really being as authentic as possible to my vision and my heart and like what I believe in and what I want to share with the world. So every time I create a painting and I finish it and it turns out to be beautiful and it touches somebody, it's such a surreal experience and such an amazing thing to feel that you used your hands to create something that evokes emotion, and just creating beauty is pretty awesome. Hello and welcome to day 2. Today I'm going to be finishing my painting with oils. We'll start by glazing to get a lot of richness and depth into the painting that acrylic just can't do. And then I'm gonna finish up with opaques and just pull it all together and get it done. I like to use 2 palettes, sometimes one for glaze and then the other for mixing the opaques, because the glazes kind of take over the entire palette. So I just like to have a second one on hand. So in my process, I like to work with acrylics and water-based materials for about 75%. That gives me a lot of freedom to explore and change it up when I want to. And then at the end, 20 to 25% oils to really add that refinement and richness, and end with that juicy, beautiful color. It's not exactly like my source, but I got so much inspiration from the source. I had so much fun painting this. I think that it's a really cool painting. Sometimes it's hard to know, if a piece is finished or not. For me personally, I like to leave a lot of the background showing through. So I like to have 25 to 50% of the background showing, because then you have all of those layers from before. Because I enjoy the beginning so much and creating those layers, I really want that work to show through. For example, like for the face, I'm definitely going to be adding refinement to some of her features, but I do want to allow certain areas to stay. So like this area area in the forehead I actually really love. So I would probably just do one brush stroke like on the eyebrow or above the eyebrow to add a little more refinement without covering that area. I think each artist just has to kind of feel it out. I've kind of figured out from my process like what works and when to stop, but I think it's something that each of us always kind of have to evaluate, and in order to decide when to stop in a painting, I think it's always good to stop a little before instead of over painting. Finding that balance just takes time, just painting more and more, and you just become more comfortable with your process and what you expect to see at the end. Sometimes titles come to me instantly when I'm making a painting, in the beginning, in the middle, and it just like, I don't know, I feel like it just kind of like drops and I just know it, you know, in my gut. Sometimes it's just not that easy. I don't know why. Sometimes it just comes later. So thanks so much for following along in the journey of my process to create a painting from start to finish. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear what you thought about my process. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you later.